Welcome to the Leadership Zone. I'm your host, Sheila Walsh, Leadership Development Specialist, Coach and Researcher. Welcome. Okay, so today we're going to talk about one of the things that comes up nearly in every organisation I work with and nearly every leader or HR person or L&D person or org development person. And it's this natural nature to see the blocks and the barriers and the challenges being external. So pointing to the other, often pointing up. Senior leadership teams get a lot of blame, some justified, some a form of avoidance. But one of the things that happens is we tend to blame out and up. We blame up, the people ahead of us need to improve their leadership, their skill set, their influence, their communications, their strategy. Or we blame out. It's their fault, HR aren't helpful, or we say, oh, the managers don't follow through, or we say staff won't do what they're asked to do, or there's all these kind of blaming out things depending on the position that you sit within the organisation. Blaming out and blaming up, it's the number one thing that presents across all work that I do, whether I'm consulting with an organisation, doing leadership coaching or development or training, or whether we're looking at strategy at senior leadership level. The thing is that usually we see very clearly how other people need to change, how they need to do development, how they need to change their methods, how their ways of communicating aren't helpful, how their influencing isn't helpful, how their style isn't helpful. But very rarely do people come and say, I want to improve my performance and it starts with me. And even when they do, sometimes we can still blame out. So we can say, I want to improve my performance, but the challenges or problems are X, Y, and Z. And it's usually out or up they're pointing. The thing is that all performance, all development has to start with you. And so if you want other people to perform better and you're in any form of power or you have any kind of leadership or management or supervisory responsibility, then there is actually research that suggests their performance is directly related to your ability to support their performance. Whereas often we just naturally and easily look at how others are to blame. Up and out. It's the most common phrase I hear is up and out. Whereas what we really need to think about is how are we part of the problem? How can we be part of the solution? And that is kind of gritty when you're in a kind of lock situation where you're frustrated with people and you want them to be different and you wish the other department would understand your needs and would stop projecting onto you and blaming onto you and getting in the way of your role. But the truth is that actually for an organisation to perform, we need a couple of things. We need leaders who support the performance of others, middle managers who know how to navigate that squeeze between their teams and senior leadership. We need employees who know how they aren't just rated on their individual performance, but their performance impacts other people's performance. And we need an organisation with policies and procedures and strategies for performance. So the purpose of this is to say that while it's really easy to look at how other people are getting in the way of performance and are getting in the way of positive, helpful, psychologically safe working relationships and environments, every single person in a system, in an organisation has a role to play. And that role is understanding other people's perspectives, understanding what is based on their decision making, what they need to take into account when they make decisions, and also to think about how we can collaborate on decision making that has tension involved. So what I'm going to leave you with is this. If I asked you to list out how other people are a barrier to your performance or your role, you would have that list from me, no problem, regardless of your role. But if I ask for you to tell me how you become a barrier to other people's performance, your team, your peers, your colleagues, your senior team that you work with, how are you getting in the way? How is your performance? How is your approach? How is your style? How is your communication? How is your influence? How are these things part of the barriers to other people's performance, team performance, org performance? That's a really hard one. So what I would say is if that leaves you with a sense of, I want to do something about it, but I'm not sure where to start, then do pop onto my website. You'll get a link in the show notes and book a free leadership consultation with me. And together we can assess what you need to focus on, what is reasonable to expect from a coaching process, and what you should be aiming for. What kind of outcomes could you create with the right support? So before you jump to what everyone else needs to do and send all your team on different training, ensure that you are role modeling the very change that you want to see, and not just because you're behaving the way you prefer, but because you're also stretching yourself in your own development or training. And so do reach out for that free consultation. A link is in the show notes. And I look forward to talking to you about your role in reducing yourself and your practice as a barrier to organisational and team performance, but also your role in your own individual performance and your team's performance. Hopefully I speak to you soon. Take care. Thank you for listening to the Leadership Zone. We can continue this conversation over on Twitter, and my Twitter handle is @SheilaWalsh1, or at LinkedIn, you'll find me under Sheila Walsh. To book a free consultation to discuss your leadership needs or the leadership development needs of your organisation, simply visit my website www.sheilawalsh.com and book a free leadership consultation. I look forward to hearing from you.